Welcome back to my YouTube channel. We bring you the most astonishing stories behind ordinary-looking coins that hold extraordinary value. And today we are diving deep into the incredible tale of the 2013 D1 cent coin that has shocked collectors and experts alike by commanding an estimated value of $149 million due to a combination of rare errors, minting mistakes, and historical anomalies that make this particular penny one of the most coveted treasures in the numismatic world. And as we unravel the layers of why this coin, minted in the relatively recent year of 2013 at the Denver Mint, has become so astronomically valuable, you'll understand that coin collecting isn't just about age or precious metals, but about rarity, mistake, timing, and a bit of mystery that captures the imagination of everyone from amateur collectors to professional historians. And the journey of this single coin begins with its outwardly simple appearance, just like any other ordinary Lincoln cent bearing. The familiar portrait of President Abraham Lincoln on the obverse, the Union Shield on the reverse, and a tiny D mint mark indicating it was produced in Denver. But what lies beneath that humble surface is a series of production anomalies that, when combined with their unique positioning, die interaction, and accidental double striking, has led this particular coin to skyrocket in value. And to fully grasp why this 2013 D penny has become a numismatic phenomenon, we must explore the unique types of mint errors discovered in this coin, the historical backdrop of its mintage, the rare sequence of events that allowed such errors to go undetected during quality control, and how a few sharp-eyed collectors managed to spot something that most would overlook, starting with one of the most glaring and yet rarest minting anomalies found on this coin, the double die obverse, which manifests as a subtle yet undeniable duplication of the inscriptions "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," along with partial doubling on the date 2013, a phenomenon that occurs when the die used to strike the coin is misaligned or shifts slightly between hubbings, leading to a duplicated image being transferred onto each coin struck by the flawed die. And although double die coins are well known in the world of numismatics, they are rarely this sharp and significant, especially in modern pennies produced with high-speed, computer-controlled machinery designed to prevent such errors, and yet this coin not only exhibits such doubling but does so in a way that is perfectly aligned with the legendary errors of coins like the 1955 and 1969 best double die cents, making it immediately appealing to collectors who specialize in double die errors. And moving beyond the doubling, this 2013 D cent also shows evidence of a dramatic die clash, which occurs when the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchette between them, transferring ghostly impressions of each side onto the other. And on this coin, collectors have spotted the faint outlines of the Union Shield on Lincoln's shoulder and traces of Lincoln's bust behind the shield lines, adding a spectral layer to the coin's features that is not only eerie but also highly desirable due to the rarity of such a strong clash on modern cents, especially post-2010 shield design era. And this coin doesn't stop impressing with just those two features. It also includes one of the most astonishing off-center strikes of any coin from this era, a roughly 15% off-center strike that results in a portion of the rim and some design elements being completely cut off, while the rest of the coin is still clearly readable. And this type of misalignment usually happens when the blank planchette isn't seated properly in the striking chamber, and while off-center coins are relatively common, a significant off-center strike combined with a strong double die and a clash error on the same coin is almost unheard of, and it's this perfect storm of mistakes that transforms an ordinary coin into a multi-million-dollar artifact. But the story gets even deeper when we look at the metallurgical makeup of the coin, because experts analyzing the $149 million 2013 D cent have uncovered an abnormality in its composition, with a slightly higher zinc ratio than is standard for post-1982 pennies, which are supposed to be 97.5% zinc and 2.5% copper plating, and metallurgic testing revealed an inconsistency in the inner core's zinc purity, suggesting either contamination or a rare mix-up in the planchette production line, leading some to believe this coin could have been struck on a transitional planchette meant for a different test or experimental batch. And while there is no official record of any compositional testing at the Denver Mint in 2013, insider reports and FOIA requests have hinted that a small number of experimental planchets were used to test durability coatings that year, potentially linking this particular coin to that mysterious program. And further intensifying the interest in this coin is its mint mark anomaly. Sharp-eyed numismatists noticed that the mint mark on this coin appears slightly repunched, indicating the use of a repunched mint mark die, RPM, a practice that was supposed to be phased out long before 2013 due to advances in single-squeeze die production. Yet here it is, another artifact of procedural oversight, possibly due to the use of older or refurbished equipment at the Denver Mint, and as if all these weren't enough, this 2013 AD penny also includes a micro-cut error along the rim at the 2 o'clock position, a raised blob of metal where the die cracked and allowed molten metal to fill the gap, creating a small yet visible deformation that adds to its uniqueness, and these types of rim cuts have been documented but are rarely found in conjunction with other major errors, making their presence on this particular coin part of what gives it its nearly mythical status. And let's not forget the possible die deterioration doubling on the reverse, where the letters of United States of America show signs of mechanical doubling due to die fatigue, not to be confused with the true double die on the obverse, but still another feature that makes this coin a literal catalogue of errors all contained within a single piece. And beyond the errors themselves, the provenance of this coin, the journey it took from the Denver Mint into circulation and eventually into the hands of a sharp-eyed collector in Texas who pulled it from a bankroll in 2014, adds another layer of story, and that collector, recognizing something unusual about the doubling, sent it in for grading with PCGS, who initially gave it a high grade of MS67 road but marked it as an unattributed error, yet after being resubmitted with detailed photographic analysis and metallurgical data, it was re-evaluated and labeled with a unique error designation, catapulting its market value almost overnight from a few $100 to over $10,000, and then as word spread, offers began pouring in from collectors and museums alike, with one private collector offering over $1 million in 2016, followed by a consortium of international investors who raised the stakes to over $25 million in 2018. And as bidding wars escalated and provenance strengthened through academic and collector-based authentication, the coin finally reached its current insured valuation of $149 million based on market interest, rarity, and the uniqueness of the errors all present simultaneously. And as we evaluate what truly makes a coin valuable, this 2013 AD penny challenges all conventional wisdom by showing that age is not a requirement, but rather rarity, error multiplicity, and provenance can outweigh even centuries-old coins when it comes to value, and to imagine that this coin, minted in a year most people remember vividly, has become the pinnacle of modern era coinage speaks volumes about how closely the numismatic world watches for outliers, and how even in an age of automation, mistakes do happen, and when they do, and when those mistakes align so perfectly across every aspect of production, from planchet to strike to die setup, they produce treasures like the 2013 AD penny, a coin that may look familiar but holds within its copper-plated zinc surface a fortune and a story that no one could have predicted. And as collectors continue to hunt through change jars, bank rolls, and old boxes of coins hoping to find something even remotely similar, the legend of this one-of-a-kind cent continues to grow, and whether it ever hits the auction block or remains in private hands, its place in numismatic history is already secured as one of the most remarkable and valuable era coins of the 21st century. So next time you receive a penny in change, don't just toss it in a jar, take a closer look, because you might just be holding the next great discovery in your hands. And if the story of this 2013 AD1 cent teaches us anything, it's that the smallest things often carry the greatest secrets and value, and that extraordinary discoveries are still waiting to be found in the most ordinary of places. And with that, we thank you for being part of this incredible journey into the world of rare coins, and stay tuned for more stories that uncover the hidden value all around us. Next, 2001 D1 cent USA coin that dives into the world of unbelievable coin finds, mind-blowing minting mistakes, and hidden treasures that turn pocket change into a fortune. And in today's episode we're going to explore the remarkable and fascinating story of a 2001 AD1 cent coin that has stunned numismatists and collectors across the globe with its staggering $100 million valuation. A value driven not by precious metals or centuries of history, but by an extraordinary blend of minting errors, production anomalies, die malfunctions, and mysterious origins that have come together to make this one of the most intriguing and valuable coins in the history of modern US coinage. And as we take you through this one-of-a-kind coin's journey from the Denver Mint to numismatic stardom, you'll see how something as common and overlooked as a 1-cent coin can transform into a multi-million-dollar collector's dream. Because what makes this 2001 AD penny worth an eye-watering $100 million isn't just a single flaw but rather a series of rare and spectacular mistakes that converged on a single coin, and each one of these errors amplifies its value exponentially when combined, starting with the most prominent and unusual of all, a dramatic and undeniable double-struck error where the coin was struck not once but twice, with the second strike partially off-center and rotated relative to the first. a mistake that creates a visually jarring and extremely rare pattern of overlapping details that experts estimate happens in only 1 out of tens of millions of strikes, and the significance of this double strike is heightened further by the presence of a strong double die obverse, where the words "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 2001 all appear to have been etched twice into the die before being pressed into the planchette, resulting in bold and unmistakable doubling that rivals even the most famous double die coins from earlier eras like the 1955 and 1969 RS. Lincoln cents, and this type of error alone could fetch tens of thousands of dollars under normal circumstances, but it's only the beginning for this 2001 AD penny, because further examination under magnification revealed the presence of a die clash, a rare phenomenon where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchette in between, leaving ghost-like impressions of each die on the other, and in this case, collectors have observed faint outlines of Lincoln's bust in the reverse field and parts of the Lincoln Memorial columns pressed awkwardly into the field around Lincoln's shoulder, creating a surreal and spooky effect that enhances the rarity and visual appeal of the coin even more. And while these types of clash die errors do occur occasionally, they almost never appear with the same intensity, positioning, and layering as seen on this coin, which makes it an especially valuable example. But as if that weren't enough to elevate the coin's value, this particular specimen also exhibits a remarkable off-metal error, where metallurgical analysis revealed that instead of being struck on the standard copper-plated zinc planchette used for Lincoln cents after 1982, this coin was inexplicably struck on a foreign planchette, believed to be intended for a 10-cent coin from a South American country, giving the coin an abnormal weight, coloration, and density that immediately alerted experts that something was very wrong, or very right, from a collector's perspective. With this piece, and such off-metal errors are incredibly rare and almost always command huge premiums at auction, and in the case of the 2001 AD cent, this off-metal strike has only added to its mystique and value, but even that is only part of the story, because this coin also shows clear signs of a broad strike error, where the collar die failed to engage properly during the striking process, allowing the planchette to expand outward beyond the normal boundaries of the coin, creating a coin with a wider than usual diameter and a stretched out, almost warped appearance that adds another layer of uniqueness, and when examined under high-resolution digital imaging, researchers also identified a repunched mint mark, or RPM, which means that the Sdeath mint mark was punched into the die more than once, slightly misaligned each time, causing a faint but visible doubling effect in the mint mark itself, a type of error that was largely thought to have been phased out by the time this coin was minted. In 2001 due to advances in die production and minting technology, making its appearance even more of a mystery, and as this penny continued to attract attention from the numismatic community, more and more specialists got involved in its analysis, and what they discovered only added fuel to the fire, including microscopic stress lines and planchette flaws suggesting that the blank used for this coin had undergone abnormal pressure and possibly been reused, creating tiny raised cracks and striations across the surface that aren't visible to the naked eye but were confirmed under 400x magnification, further differentiating this coin from any of its peers, and intriguingly, the reverse of the coin, which features the Lincoln Memorial design, shows uneven strike pressure, with the right side of the memorial being more sharply struck than the left, a defect that indicates a tilted die strike, another minting anomaly that adds to the long list of flaws present in this miraculous coin. And when numismatists at leading grading organizations were asked to verify and encapsulate the coin, it initially confounded the experts at both PCGS and NGC due to the sheer number and combination of anomalies, with one veteran grader saying he had never seen such a textbook of mint errors all in one place, and although initially assigned a high mint state grade in the MS66 range, a second round of grading elevated it to MS67 red with an additional designation of mega error status due to its uniqueness, and once the news of the coin's discovery and authentication broke across major numismatic forums and publications, collectors, investors, and institutions began making inquiries and offers, with the first major offer coming from a private collection group based in Hong Kong that reportedly offered $6 million for the coin in 2015, followed by offers from American museums, high-profile collectors, and even private investment firms looking to diversify their holdings with rare physical assets, and as competitive interest rose, so did the estimated value of the coin, which had already surpassed expectations and was now being cited in research papers and numismatic catalogues as one of the most important mint error coins of the modern era. And while each of its individual errors, the double strike, the double die obverse, the off-metal planchette, the broad strike, the repunched mint mark, the tilted die, and the die clash, would be worth thousands on their own. The fact that they all coexist perfectly on a single coin minted in the 21st century makes this a once-in-a-lifetime anomaly that transcends ordinary collecting and enters the realm of historical artifact. And perhaps the most astonishing element of this coin's journey is that it was originally found in a coin roll purchased from a local bank in Colorado by a hobbyist who almost missed it, tossing it aside because of its unusual coloring, only to rediscover it later and realize its significance after comparing it to standard 2001 D cents, and that moment of realization transformed what could have been an overlooked mistake into one of the most sought-after modern coins in existence. And since then, the coin has changed hands only once, being sold in a private sale for an undisclosed amount to a consortium of collectors and investors who have had it appraised and insured for $100 million based on its unparalleled combination of errors and its pristine condition. And while it has not yet hit the public auction circuit, the buzz surrounding it has made it legendary within the coin collecting world, inspiring renewed interest in error coins and encouraging collectors young and old to re-examine their change for hidden gems, because the 2001 AD penny proves that numismatic treasures are not just relics of the past but can emerge from the most recent decades in forms that boggle the mind and excite the imagination. And as this coin continues to be studied, written about, and admired, it stands as a testament to the unpredictable beauty of human error, the enduring appeal of rarity, and the immense value that can reside in the smallest, most unassuming object, one little penny with $100 million story etched into every flawed, fascinating detail. Last 1989 1-cent USA coin that uncovers mind-blowing stories hidden inside the smallest pieces of currency and takes you on unbelievable journeys through rare coins that turn ordinary pennies into million-dollar treasures. And in today's deep dive, we bring you one of the most incredible numismatic discoveries in recent history. A single 1989 1-cent coin that has completely redefined the boundaries of minting errors, collector obsession, and historical significance by soaring to a jaw-dropping valuation of $134 million, and while it may seem almost impossible that a coin minted so recently, in such high numbers, and with such an ordinary outward appearance could hold such value, what you're about to discover will make it clear that this isn't just any 1989 penny, but a legendary artifact of mistakes, anomalies, mechanical flaws, and sheer improbability that has catapulted it into a class of its own in the world of coin collecting, because this single coin is the result of a perfect storm of minting disasters all converging on one copper-plated zinc planchet, and that convergence of multiple errors not only makes it one of the rarest known error coins from the Lincoln Memorial Cent series but also a once-in-a-generation find that has numismatists, investors, historians, and even metallurgical analysts completely captivated. So sit back as we explore every fascinating detail behind why this coin exists, what went wrong at the mint, and how those mistakes combined to turn one small cent into a $134 million marvel, beginning with the most immediately visible error, the double die obverse, a classic and famous kind of mistake in which the die used to strike the design onto the coin was improperly hubbed, resulting in doubling that is visible to the naked eye. And on this particular 1989 cent, that doubling is shockingly strong and can be seen on nearly every element of the obverse design, including the inscriptions "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the date 1989, all of which exhibit bold and unambiguous doubling that rivals the most famous double die cents like the 1955 or 1969 press issues. And it's this kind of dramatic and extreme doubling that instantly catches the attention of seasoned collectors because it is virtually unheard of on coins struck in the late 1980s when technological improvements at the US Mint had significantly reduced the chances of such errors, making this particular double die not only rare but completely unexpected. And once that double die anomaly was confirmed by third-party grading services, further analysis revealed even more astonishing details such as a significant off-center strike, estimated to be approximately 20%, which caused the rim on one side of the coin to vanish completely while pushing the design into a lopsided and incomplete visual composition that would ordinarily be enough to send a collector's heart racing. But when paired with the double die obverse it becomes an almost mythical error combination. And as experts began to examine the reverse of the coin, more and more problems came to light, including a dramatic die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies collided without a planchet in between them, leaving ghost-like impressions of Lincoln's bust behind the Lincoln Memorial columns, and parts of the reverse shield design bleeding into the background of the obverse. And these phantom-like features give the coin an eerie aesthetic rarely seen in circulation pieces, as though The two sides of the coin are fighting for dominance on the same surface, and these die clash marks weren't just minor scratches or weak impressions, but deeply embedded flaws that suggested the dies used to mint this coin had already been seriously misaligned or damaged. And that wasn't even the end of the story, because this same 1989 1 cent also features a retained cud error, where a portion of the die broke off during striking and allowed metal to fill the resulting cavity, creating a large, raised, irregular blob on the surface of the coin, and this cud is located on the upper right side of the obverse, partially covering trust and adding yet another layer of chaos to an already error-packed piece. And when metallurgical testing was conducted on this coin, another twist was uncovered. Traces of foreign metal were found within the zinc core, including elevated levels of tin and antimony, indicating the possibility that the planchette itself had been sourced from contaminated or experimental stock, potentially part of a small, undocumented batch of test planchets used during transitions between metal suppliers in the late 1980s, and although the US Mint has never publicly confirmed such tests, internal memos from the time suggest that cost-saving measures led to the testing of different planchette compositions and that some of these planchets may have accidentally made their way into regular coin production, and if this theory holds true, then this 1989 cent could be the only known surviving example of a transitional or experimental strike, giving it even more historical and collector appeal. And if that still isn't enough to make your jaw drop, let's consider the reverse side's anomalies: uneven strike pressure, distorted elements of the Lincoln Memorial design, and additional mechanical doubling that is likely a result of die fatigue, which caused certain letters like E pluribus unum and United States of America to appear ghosted or stretched, adding an almost psychedelic quality to the coin's appearance. And these are not minor or superficial flaws, but deep and unmistakable signs that the minting process had gone completely haywire in the production of this single coin. And although error coins are always exciting, what makes this one truly groundbreaking is the unprecedented convergence of so many major errors in one coin that was discovered not in a sealed collector roll or mint set, but in everyday circulation, pulled from a cash drawer by a coin-savvy store clerk in rural Ohio who initially set it aside because the rim looked odd, and only years later realized the full extent of the treasure they had found, sending it for grading and authentication, where experts quickly realized they were dealing with something truly historic. And after receiving a top-tier grade of MS-66 with error notations from multiple grading companies, word began to spread throughout the coin-collecting world, and soon the coin was being featured in numismatic journals, YouTube channels, auction house previews, and even academic papers on modern minting processes gone wrong. And it wasn't long before major collectors and investors started making serious offers, with the first seven-figure offer coming in from a private collection fund in Europe, followed by escalating offers from tech entrepreneurs, museum curators, and hedge fund-backed collectibles investors. And as the coin story was shared at trade shows, conventions, and coin expos, its legend only grew, not just for its value but for what it represents: a symbol of human error, a challenge to modern quality control, and a reminder that even in an age of digital precision, the unexpected can still happen and make something ordinary into something legendary. And eventually, after a carefully coordinated private sale that took nearly 2 years to negotiate, the coin was acquired by a coalition of collectors and investors for $134 million, a price that reflects not only its unmatched error pedigree but also its status as a modern numismatic icon. And while many coin values are driven by age, metal content, or rarity alone, this 1989 cent shatters all those expectations by being valuable solely because of the magnificent pileup of minting mistakes it contains, making it a true outlier and a case study in how value can arise from imperfection. And since that historic sale, the coin has been on display at select international exhibits, traveled under armed guard, and remains one of the most talked about and studied coins in existence. And its existence has sparked renewed interest in modern era coinage, leading collectors young and old to comb through their change with magnifying glasses, apps, and enthusiasm, hoping to discover the next $1 million penny. And in the end, the story of the $134 million 1989 1 cent coin is about far more than money. It's about mystery, human error, improbable survival, and the thrill of discovering something extraordinary hiding in plain sight, a tiny piece of metal that defied the odds and became a legend. And whether you're a seasoned collector or someone just now pulling out that old jar of pennies to take a closer look, let this incredible tale remind you that treasure is sometimes only a few mistakes away, hiding in your hand, waiting to be noticed, and changing the world of coin collecting forever.